حكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم 2 فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخلوا الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خالدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون أولم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون إنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها ومما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لسقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم انفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية وإلى إلههم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أحد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشاها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم الفاتحة مع الصلوات Now?
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday and the last Saturday program of Shaban and on the Eesal Thawab Majlis. We'll be having a lecture. We'll have a short announcement by food committee, and then we're going to do Dua Tawassul at the end, inshallah, on behalf of the marhum, inshallah. With the last salawat, please invite Sheikh to the member.
الفاتحة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين غير المغضوب عليهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم به نستعين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا للحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، أرواحنا له فدا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه، إن الله بالغ أمره، قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات. First and foremost, I give my condolences to Brother Eesal Shah and his family on the occasion which we are commemorating in this night, and that is the wafat, the passing of his beloved mother, Rabab ibn Ali. And of course, it is always difficult to lose a mother. In fact, as the blessed month of Ramadan is upon us, I've been asked to speak about Ramadan, just kind of a muqaddimah or introduction to the blessed month of Ramadan. But also in Ramadan, we also commemorate a mother, al-Mu'mineen, Khadija salamullah alayha. So inshallah, in this night as well, we will mention Sayyidah Khadija, as quite often we only mention her, at least most of us, we only mention her, maybe think about her in that blessed month of Ramadan, which truly is a disservice, not to her, but to ourselves, to understand the value, the weight of Khadija salamullah alayha, because she was the wife that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he never forgot. That long after she had passed away, he would constantly remember. But also, she was the mother of Fatima Zahra sallallahu alayha. So inshallah, in the end, we will mention about Khadija al-Kubra sallallahu alayha. But before we do, as I've been requested to speak a little bit about how we should prepare for this blessed month of Ramadan that is upon us. And when we think about the preparation of the blessed month of Ramadan, that preparation can take different stages. So one stage is the stage that we're in, just kind of days before the blessed month of Ramadan comes in. And then there's a stage which is kind of just the, it's also still, before Ramadan comes in, the eve of that Ramadan, but also a preparation that comes at the beginning of Ramadan, where you're in the beginning of Ramadan. And this is one of the reasons why the du'as that we have, the du'as of welcoming the blessed month of Ramadan. Then there's a preparation for the blessed month of Ramadan when you're kind of in the middle of the month of Ramadan. You're kind of in that moment. And likewise, if we are truly studying, we're students of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam, there's a preparation that even we make before the blessed month of Ramadan ends. So today I'm just going to speak about that preparation that we make before the blessed month of Ramadan comes in, and give 10 practical examples or 10 practical things that we can do to truly welcome the blessed month of Ramadan. And these 10 practical examples, they come from Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. That one of his companions, Abdus Salam ibn Salih, also known as Aba Salt, that he came to Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salatu wasalam pretty much in a time period like this, and he asked Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam, he said that, look, there's only a few days left. In fact, it was the last Jummah of the blessed month of Shaban that he came to Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, there's only a few days left. What should I do? What do I need to do? So Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam advised him for 10 things. And these 10 things, yes, we should be practicing them before the blessed month of Ramadan comes in. And you'll see that these 10 things are very practical. And I'll go over them, maybe expound on a few of them so that we can truly understand how to benefit from these 10 actions. But these 10 actions, not only do they prepare us for the blessed month of Ramadan, but we can carry these things over, these 10 actions over into the blessed month of Ramadan as well. Not simply, okay, well, these next 2 days that we are practicing these things, and then once Ramadan comes in, we leave them. Now, the advice of Ahlul Bayt is such that, yes, they give you something that you can prepare with, and you can carry that on, carry that forward into the blessed month of Ramadan. So he told Aba Salt, he says, yeah, Aba Salt, he says, what is the first thing? It is to be mindful, or have mindfulness, and this is the way I translate this. It's a very beautiful expression in Arabic, and it quite often we hear this statement, and sometimes we may not understand how to express it, but I think the best kind of concept that we can express what the Imam tells him is mindfulness. He says, وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ وَتَرْكِ مَا لَا يَعْنِيكَ. If you translate it literally, it says that, look, pay attention to what concerns you. Anything that doesn't concern you, just leave it. This is mindfulness, actually. Meaning that in these last few days, that, truly kind of check yourself. Don't be, I'm in this person's business, that person's business. No, be concerned about yourself. Be mindful. Be concerned about your state of being. In other words, and how do we practice that mindfulness? Part of it is truly taking some time to be alone. Truly taking some time to be alone and to reflect. Our lives are very busy, and we're engaged and constantly engaged with things, and especially in this age of technology, we're constantly connected to our cell phones, our computers, our television, all of these things. No. That mindfulness means that, look, I need to just simply unplug just for a minute and reflect on myself, reflect upon my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That what state am I in? Especially that I'm about to enter into this month, which is Shahrullah. Like if we're actually going to one of our friends' homes or our family members' home, quite often we do this. If we're just going to hang out with the brothers, the fellows, we don't care what we're wearing. We just throw in anything and we go out. But if I'm about to go to the house of, my father, or those who are married. I'm about to go to the house of my in-laws, so I need to make sure I'm looking nice. You're about to enter into the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what state are you in? And this is what Imam Rida says. He says, be mindful. Think about that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we think about that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, truly communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know our states. Because why do we need that exclusive time, that alone time? Because if we engage with so many other things, we're not truly thinking, we're not truly being mindful. We're forgetting ourselves. We're not truly thinking of what truly state am I in? And how am I about to enter into this month where it is a month of Allah, and I'm supposed to meet Allah, connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing that Imam Ali bin Musa Rada alayhi hafizatu salam, he tells our salt, he says, أكثر من الدعاء والاستغفار. You can consider this as one thing. So he says, make dua often. And make forgiveness. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. As Imam Ali bin Musa Rada alayhi hafizatu salam as well, he says that among the best dua, al-istighfar. Al-istighfar means أفضل الدعاء. And this istighfar, and I'm going to connect it to the previous thing. So also be mindful in our istighfar. Sometimes, especially in the blessed month of Rajab, also you look at one of the a'mals, also for Shaban, the same a'mal as well, is that, recite istighfar 100 times, 1,000 times. And quite often we actually take these actions up. Okay, I'm going to do the istighfar. And what do we do? What is the weight of our istighfar? Is basically remember. Astaghfirullah. But we're not connecting it to anything. We're not even mindful of that. We're only mindful of what? Counting. How many times did I do it? We're not sure that, what am I actually asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for istighfar for? Again, we know ourselves. If we took that moment of mindfulness and we're like, this thing, astaghfirullah. That thing, astaghfirullah. Maybe 100 things, maybe 1,000 things. So many things. So many things. In fact, even, I was going to mention this, but it just came to mind. Actually, even one of our ulama, Arif, when a person was connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this individual, that what he used to make istighfar, and this is someone that when it was time for salah, he made a salat on time. And even when people said, they said, oh wow, look the way his salat was, you could see that he's engaging in his salat. But then what would he say about his salat? Astaghfirullah. What type of salat is that? Like this is one of those ulama that people saw karamat from him, that he would give people, recite this dua and your hajat will be answered, and truly it will be answered. But when he looked at his own salat, he was like, astaghfirullah. So what type of salat am I making? Subhanallah. So again, that istighfar should be mindful. That what are we truly asking? Not just simply recounting a number off in our hands, because that's what the Prophet has recommended. That's what the Imam has recommended. Yeah, make that istighfar, make that number, but try to connect it to something so that we are truly making that istighfar as we should. The third thing that Imam Ali bin Musa Rada alayhi hafizatu salam, he advises our salt is The third thing is وَتَلَاوَةِ الْقُرْآنِ, to read the Quran. When we look at this blessed month, these blessed months that have, one that has passed us, blessed month of Rajab, and then also this blessed month of Shaban, which is basically ending, and of course the blessed month of Ramadan, which is coming upon us, which is Rabi'ul Quran, as the Ahlabi said. This is the spring of the Quran. This is the time that we should truly connect with the Quran, especially in the blessed month of Ramadan. But in all three of those months, one of the recommendations of Rasulullah, he says, read the Quran, read the Quran, read the Quran. And again, Imam Ali bin Musa Rada alayhi hafizatu salam, he's saying, read the Quran. And I'll just give this advice that, sometimes that, unfortunately, and this is the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that on Yawm al-Qiyamah, that one of the things that will complain is the Quran. That, I've been left. Although there's so much emphasis from Rasulullah, from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salam, to read the Quran. One of those moments in which we should read the Quran, and this is from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that, look, if you want to make your transition from this world, from this life to the next life, if you want it to make it easy, he says, then read the Quran after Salah. Sometimes we and this is not to say that reciting the dua after salat is not good, but sometimes you're like, oh, well, we have to recite this dua. Read some Quran, just a little bit of Quran. And some of the riwayat says, okay, after each salat, read Surah Al-Qadr. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Read Surah Al-Ikhlas. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Qul huwallahu ahad. Read something of the Quran after each salat. As Rasulullah says that this will help a person that when their death is coming, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is about to take their life, that they won't be in a state of confusion. Why? Because they've read some of the Quran. Read Ayatul Kursi. In fact, even this is one of the things that is recommended to recite for your marhum, Ayatul Kursi. If your parents have passed away, then Ayatul Kursi is one of those things. In fact, in some of the riwayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afusatu salam, the power of Ayatul Kursi. They say that when a person recites Ayatul Kursi from one of their marhum, their parents, a relative, and they intend that I'm going to give the blessing of this Ayatul Kursi that I recited to that deceased person. It says that it will go not only to that deceased person, that everyone who's buried in that qabr, in that grave around that person, that the barakah of that Ayatul Kursi will go to this individuals. That this is the blessing of Ayatul Kursi. I remember at one point that sometimes after the salat, people will recite Ayatul Kursi. Very few now that this Ayatul Kursi is recited. But recite something of the Quran. The fourth thing that Imam Ali bin Musa Rida alayhi salatu he told Abu Salt, he says to him, وَتُوبِ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنْ ذُنُوبِكَ لِيُقْبِلَ شَهْرُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ وَأَنْتَ مُخْلِصٌ لِلَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Subhanallah. He tells Abu Salt, he says, Tub ilallah. And one of the things that we have to realize, and I'm not going to go into it much today, or at this point. So Imam Rida, he told him, the second thing what? أكثر الدعاء واستغفار. To ask for istighfar. Tawbah is different from istighfar. That if we really want to be precise, Tawbah is one thing, istighfar is something else. And just to simplify it for you, so istighfar on one hand is basically making that statement, astaghfirullah, and of course it should be connected to something, as I said, be mindful that what are you asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala istighfar for? But if you want to understand Tawbah, and not going into the deep philosophy, Tawbah, as the word indicates in Arabic, taba yatubu, means to turn. It means turn your direction towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Turn your focus towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if your focus is not towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what is it towards? It's towards all of those desires, all of those things which we should probably be making istighfar for. So tub. So turn your direction, turn that focus to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Begin to focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Imam Rida alayhi salatu, he says, so that the month of Allah will welcome you. Subhanallah. Yeah, one of the du'as that we recite, du'a of Imam Zain, to welcome the month. But if we truly changed our direction in life, our focus in life, and we do that tawbah, as Imam Rida alayhi salatu, he's telling Abu Sal that Shahru Ramadan, Shahrullah will welcome you, that come, I want you to come. And as Imam Rida, he says that you will, وَأَنْتَ مُخْلِصٌ لِلَّهِ, that you are now being sincere towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The fifth thing that Imam Rida alayhi salatu, he tells Abu Salt, he says, ولا تدعن أمانة في عنقك إلا أديتها. He says that, if there's something that maybe you've been entrusted with, if there's maybe something you borrowed from someone, something that someone has some sort of, as I say in Arabic or even Farsi, talab, there's something that, okay, I owe this person something, or this person has entrusted me with this, or hey, I said that I would do this, I gave them a promise. So Imam Rida alayhi hafizahullah, he says, listen, before the blessed month of Ramadan comes in, clear those things up. Clear those things up. Return that amanat, that if you're able to, return that amanat. And so that, not going into all the philosophy, but perhaps it is so that, look, you're not so much engaged with everyone. Oh, hey, person's coming, is knocking on my door, and he says, hey, you promised me this, or, no, you know what, I've taken care of all of those things. And now in this blessed month of Ramadan, that, yes, I can mainly focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So try your best to return those amanat, so that in the month of Ramadan, you don't have those things. The sixth thing that Imam Ali bin Rida alayhi hafizahullah, he tells Abu Salt, he says, وَلَا فِي قَلْبِكَ, in other words, لَا تَدَعَنَّ فِي قَلْبِكَ, don't leave in your heart. وَلَا فِي قَلْبِكَ حِقْدًا عَلَى مُؤْمِنٍ إِلَّا نَزَعَتَهُ. Subhanallah. And this is a weighty one. Imam Rida, he tells Abu Salt, he says, listen, don't enter into the blessed month of Ramadan with any grudge or harboring any grudge in your heart against any of the believers. Again, one of the du'as of the Quran itself is, well, وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. That your heart should be free of any grudge, animosity against any believer. Why is that? Because quite often, if you're holding a grudge against someone, if this person has done me wrong, or this person said this to me, I'm upset. This person has done this for whatever reason. If that grudge, if that animosity is there, one of the things that's going to prevent us from making dua for that person in the blessed month of Ramadan. You're not going to make dua for that person. You're not even going to be thinking about this person. And one of the ways of having your du'as accepted is praying for someone else, another believer. In fact, even if you pray for someone who has wronged you, and even higher barakah when you read the hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afsalatu wasalam. But harboring that grudge is not going to allow you to do that. And quite often, another thing that if you have that grudge, if you have that animosity against someone, even someone, usually people come in this blessed month of Ramadan, they may ask you, oh, you know what, yeah, maybe I did you wrong, and maybe I did this, brother, forgive me, sister, forgive me. But if you're harboring that grudge, you're going to brush them off. And if you brush them off, understand the weight of that. Truly understand the weight of that. That we're entering into the month of Rahmah. But yet we can't give Rahmah to the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Rahmah. One of the secrets to gain the Rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that you show Rahmah and compassion to His creation. Especially the believers, especially the mu'mineen and mu'minat. So Imam Rida alayhi hafizahullah, again, look at the preparation that he's giving us. That whatever it is, whatever someone's done to you, that before the blessed month of Ramadan begins, talk to that person, call that person. Look, if you've done something to me and I was upset with you, and say, look, I forgive you. I'm not going to hold this against you. Sorry. Or even if you've done something, you ask that person for forgiveness. So that when you enter into that blessed month of Ramadan, that your heart is not occupied with that grudge or that animosity that you have with someone. Your heart is not withholding compassion from the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for compassion and rahmah and maghfirah and forgiveness. You're not forgiving someone, but you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you. One of the fastest ways of getting that forgiveness is to forgive the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The seventh thing is to abandon sins, as Imam Ridahi tells him. He says, وَلَا ذَنْبًا أَنْتَ مُرْتَكِبُهُ إِلَّا أَقْلَعْتَ عَنْهُ. Don't enter into the month of Ramadan with sins. Here I just want to emphasize that look at the pattern. Because sometimes, quite often, we think, oh, well, if I did istighfar, okay, have my sins gone? If I did tawbah, are my sins gone? To make that tawbah or tawbatan nasuha, or to really remove that element of disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's stages to it. One of the first stages is simply expressing astaghfirullah rabbi. Understand why you're making istighfar. That, oh, I've done this, astaghfirullah. Then you change your mindset, you change your focus, you turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in this stage where he says, aqla'ta anhu, that if you're engaged in a sin, sometimes this is a reality of things. Sometimes we are disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we may have that bad habit that, we'll leave it for a couple of days or a week, then we get back to it. This is what Imam Ali bin Musa says. Again, the words are precise. Aqla'ta. Aqla' means to uproot something. Go to the root of it. If we're just asking istighfar, astaghfirullah, we're paying attention to all those things that we need to make istighfar. When we make tawbah, we're starting to try to change our mindset, our focus, our direction. But it takes us to actually get to the root that if I'm doing this thing, if I'm disobeying, what is at the root of that? What is the root cause of it? So it's not simply treating the symptom without truly treating the root of the problem. And this is what Imam Ali bin Musa alayhi hafizah sam, وَلَا ذَنْبَ أَنْتَ مُرْتَكِبَهُ إِلَّا أَقْلَعْتَ عَنْهُ. To truly, and we need that mindfulness. We need that mindfulness for this in the beginning. To truly sit and reflect that, what is my state? That what is my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Where am I failing to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And truly, what is at the root of it? What is it that I need to change? What is it that I need to understand? What is it that I need to perceive? And then, how do I go about changing that thing? And even within the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, alayhim afru salatu wasalam, and they've given us this in different manners. He said, if you're engaged in something you shouldn't be doing, replace it with something which you should be doing. That, I'm listening to the stuff that I shouldn't be listening to. Okay, replace it with listening to the Quran, listening to the dua, listening to the hadith of Ahlul Bayt. So this is how we uproot those sins or that disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we carry this throughout in Ramadan as well. As you see, all of these things we can do in the blessed month of Ramadan. The eighth thing is wattaqillah, to be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these last few days of the blessed month of Shaban, truly reflect upon our actions, our choices, whether they're being done in the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. The ninth thing, as Imam Ali bin Musa Rada, he tells Abu Salt, he says, وَتَوَكَّلَ عَلَيْهِ فِي سَرَائِكَ وَعَلَانِيَّتِكَ. He says, and rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your loneliness and exclusion, when you're by yourself, when you're in that place where you think that, no one sees me. But also when you're amongst people, rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, Imam Rida, then he recites that verse that we stated in the beginning, verse 3 of Surah Talaq, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. And whoever relies upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for that individual. إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغَ أَمْرِي قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. Allah is sufficient for that person, and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to happen, and it will happen. Here I just want to emphasize this aspect that, this tawakkul, because Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi hafizah, he's giving us a key to that tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A key to, yes, our self-correction and purification. The first thing is that we have to make the effort. Through mindfulness, through asking for istighfar, our dua, changing our focus, our tawbah, really trying to see what is the root of, again, our sometimes not so good actions. And we try to uproot that. But truly, we will only be successful when we rely upon Allah. And as Allah says, "Inna Allah balighu amri, qad ja'ala Allahu li kulli shay'in qadira." And so there's a point, and when we read the du'as, this is something that it comes out in the du'as of Ahlul Bayt. And these are, again, the Ma'sumin alayhim, and they're teaching us. But quite often they say, listen, there's la qudrata li. Ya Allah, I don't have any power. Even I'm making this effort, I'm trying, and that's what we have to do. I'm trying to change this aspect about me. But there's a point you have to say, Ya Allah, you see, I'm making the effort. But I'm powerless. And without your help, without your guidance, without you, Ya Allah, truly making this happen, making this among your amr, then I can't really do anything, Ya Allah. I can't do anything more than what I'm doing. In other words, you make that sincere effort. But the tawfiq is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The success is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why, as he's saying, that rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You begin to make that effort, but you, as I say, i'tiraf, you make that statement and you express it, Ya Allah, I'm making effort, but I will never be successful, Ya Allah, unless you are the one who is helping me, unless you open that door for me. And you do this before Ramadan, but also in Ramadan, and many of those du'as. The 10th and last thing that Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi hafizatu sam, he advises Abu Salt for, and this is something that you can say that this last thing is perhaps exclusively for the blessed month of Shaban and these last days. And so he tells Abu Salt, he says, "Akthar min an taqul." He gives them a dua. He says, recite this dua often in these last days of Shaban. Allahumma in lam takun ghafarta li fima madha min Shaban faghfir lana. Allahumma in lam taghfir lana takun ghafarta lana. That, oh Allah, if you have not forgiven us in what has passed from the month of Shaban. So today we're on the 28th of Shaban. So if for 28 days we've been unsuccessful to gain the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا فِيمَا بَقِيَ مِنْهُ, then forgive us in what remains in this blessed month of Shaban. And don't think that, oh, you know what? Yeah, I made so many mistakes at the beginning of Shaban. I know I should have been more focused. I know. Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi hafizah, again, he gives us keys. The Ahlul Bayt gives us keys. He said, why make this dua and make it often? Why make that istighfar often, as he says in the beginning? He says, because this is the blessed month of Ramadan, that the barakah in that month is so great that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just out of the sanctity and the honor that he put in the blessed month of Ramadan is in these last few days of Shaban, he will forgive everything. It may not be because of what we've truly done. And again, this is where, that success is truly only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not because of, I recited Astaghfirullah 2,000 times. I stood up and I recited Istighfar until my feet swelled. No, it's because of the blessed month of Ramadan that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, look, if you ask me in these last few days of Sha'ban, then I will grant it. Why? Because he loves Ramadan that much. That is Shahrullah. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to enter into that blessed month in that state of purity, that state in which he has forgiven us. And he wants us to enter that way and also exit that way. Subhanallah. This is the barakah of the blessed month of Ramadan. That blessed month, that also one of the most beloved creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khadija al-Kubra salamullah alayha, that she returned back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That blessed month that, again, as I said, that if we've failed to truly recognize the maqam of Sayyidatina Khadija, salamullah alayha, it is not her loss. It is our loss. The timing of her, again, returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the blessed month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just like Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi wasallam returned back to Allah when? In the blessed month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's even sufficient for us that when we recite the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. And again, one of the most prominent figure in our faith and our understanding, someone that we know that, Imam Hussein sacrificed everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Khadija do as well? She gave everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That maqam of Khadija al-Kubra salamullah alayha should suffice us that in the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, and one of the ziyarats we say, Assalamu alayka yabna Khadija al-Kubra wa Fatima al-Zahra salam. That Imam Hussein alayhi wasallam in that ziyarah, he is being introduced to us as who? As the son of Khadija salamullah alayha. And truly that's the case. But it's there as an emphasis. Assalamu alayka yabna Khadija al-Kubra. And of course, again, this is a situation with Isa ibn Maryam and the Prophet Isa and his mother Maryam. Of course, the maqam of Isa is higher. And so, but Khadija al-Kubra, she's mentioned before Fatima al-Zahra. And why is this? What's the sir in this? Yeah, she's also one of those great women, but we know that Fatima al-Zahra, salamullah alayha, that subhanallah, even I can't even go into that maqam. But one of the things that we know for sure, as the Prophet, he says that paradise lies at the feet of the mother, Allah. So even if the maqam of Fatima al-Zahra, it may be higher, that what would her respect for her mother be? What would the respect of Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein? What would the respect of Imam Zaman Ajal Faraj Sharif be for Khadija al-Kubra salamullah alayha? And many individuals, and I've heard this also from one of the ulama, he said that if paradise lies at the feet of the mother, and and someone who's truly has faith, has iman, and they understand this, if you go to that person, if they deny you, then, oh, you know what, yeah, but you go to that person's mother, and you ask that person's mother that, hey, can you ask your son or your child to do this for me? That person who has iman, if they know that, oh, my mother's asking me to do this, do you think they would deny their mother? Subhanallah. And this is why one of the ulama, they said that it's unfortunate that most of us, we never make tawassul with Khadija al-Kubra, salamu alayhi. Because we truly haven't understand the maqam of Khadija al-Kubra. That if you want to, and many have said this, you want to reach to the heart of Imam Hussein alayhi wasallam, you make tawassul with Fatima Zahra, salamu alayhi. But if we understand the philosophy of this, Ya Assalamu alayka yabna Khadija al-Kubra wa Fatima Zahra. And imagine if we made tawassul with Khadija al-Kubra. So ask your son, Hussein ibn Ali, on my behalf, to, whatever, to ask forgiveness for his, to whatever. That's, this mother, she will not be denied. And this mother, al-Mu'mineen, Khadija al-Kubra, salamullah alayha, who gave everything for the sake of Islam, everything for the sake of Rasulullah, everything for the mu'mineen, everything for this ummah. But yet on her deathbed, look at her state. Asking for istighfar. On her deathbed, she's stating to her daughter, Fatima Zahra, Inni akhafu min qabri. I fear the state of my grave. Allahu Akbar. Without doubt, and I'll say this so that we truly understand this, that someone who has that ma'rifah, that definitely, that she has that maqam al-isma, that state of impeccability, that state of connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because it also reflects in the words, even the du'as of one of her children. Of course, if Imam Hussein is Yabna Khadija al-Kubra, Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi afsadu salam as well is Yabna Khadija al-Kubra, and in dua Abu Hamza Thunani, one of those duas that we recite in the blessed month of Ramadan, there's this place where Imam Zayn al-Abidin, again, he's teaching us. This is Imam al-Ma'soom, and this is the dua that he would recite, and he will be shedding tears as he's reciting this dua. He says, فَمَالِي لَا أَبْكِي أَبْكِي لِخُرُوجِ نَفْسِي أَبْكِي لظلمة قبري أبكي لذيك لحدي أبكي لسؤال منكر ونكير إياه. Why should I remain from shedding tears as my soul drifts away back to Allah? My tears fall deep in the shadowed abyss of my grave, and that part. So he's saying that I'm crying because of the darkness of my grave. I'm crying because that lahd, that abyss, that cavern, that cavity within my grave, it is tight. I'm harboring sorrow for the life I led. I cry haunted by the angels' questions of my deen. That when they come and ask me that, what have you done? Who is your Lord? What is your book? Did you truly follow the Quran? Did you truly follow Rasulullah and his Ahlul Bayt? Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, I'm crying that, look, how will I answer those questions? Fatima, Khadija al-Kubra, salamullah alayha, that she's crying because of this. Khadija al-Kubra, she's saying, I'm scared of my grave. And so she asks Fatima to Zahra salamun alayha, that ask your father. Ask him for that cloak of revelation, that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send the wahi to him, he was wearing a particular cloak. Ask him to shroud me in that, and perhaps my grave, it will be okay. And this is someone who gave everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what she's saying. What is our state? Allah. And when you lose someone like this, when you lose a mother like this, imagine the weight. Imagine the pain. Because we all endear our mothers. They've taught us many things. And this is why shortly, not even a day after the wafat of Khadija al-Kubra, they said, Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, she came to Rasulullah crying, and of course Rasulullah, he cannot stand to see Fatima Zahra happy, displeased, or crying. But Fatima, she came in this moment to Rasulullah crying, Ya abati, that, oh my father, where's my mother? Where is Khadija? Where's my mother? To comfort Fatima Zahra, as Rasulullah says, that Jibreel came to Rasulullah, says, Ya Rasulullah, tell Fatima, so she's not crying. Of course, the cries and the tears of Fatima Zahra, it would even pain the malaika, the angels. Tell Fatima that her mother is fine. Her mother is in Jannah. Perhaps Fatima Zahra, that when she passed on from this world, that she realized that as well, because there was another instance when this happened, and this is when Fatima Zahra, that after she passed from this world, after she was disrespected, after she was crushed between the door and the wall, and Amir al-Mu'mineen, he would come and he would be beside the grave of Fatima Zahra, reciting the Quran for Fatima Zahra. He said in one of those moments, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he laid beside the grave of Fatima Zahra, and he fell asleep. And when he fell asleep, he saw Fatima Zahra. And when he saw Fatima told him, Ya Abul Hassan, ila al-bayt, that, oh Abul Hassan, oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, return home. He was wondering why. That this is the first moment he's seen his beloved Fatima after so many days. But now she wants him to return home. She said that قد استيقظت زينب وهي تطلب أمها. That Zainab has woken up and now she's looking for her mother. Ya Mu'mineen ila al-bayt. Go and comfort Zainab al-Kubra, because she is looking for her mother. But there will come a time when Zainab will have no one. There will come a time when she will be alone in Karbala to tend to all the women and children. And it would not be a daughter in the Karbala crying for her mother, but it would be a daughter in Karbala crying for her father, a daughter who could not sleep without the chest of her father. Sakina would cry in the plains of Karbala looking for her father. ألا لعنة الله إلى قوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. اللهم بحق هذا المجلس الخبري من خديجة كبرى اغفر ذنوبنا واستر عيوبنا وقضي حوائجنا واشفي مرضانا وارحم امواتنا وعجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشيرين بين يديه وتحت لواء بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين.
الزيارة. الوداع for شهر شعبان, and we will come in the month of Ramadan inshallah وزيارة الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام إلى بيته in the day of Saturday. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له, وأشهد أنك رسوله, وأنك محمد عبد الله, وأشهد أنك قد بلغت رسالات ربك ونصحت لأمتك وجاهدت في سبيل الله بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وأديت الذي عليك من الحق, وأنك قد رأفت بالمؤمنين وغلظت على الكافرين, وعبدت الله مخلصا حتى أتاك اليقين, فبلغ الله بك أشرف محل المكرمين. الحمد لله الذي استنقذنا بك من الشرك والضلال. اللهم صل على محمد وآله, واجعل صلواتك وصلوات ملائكتك وأنبيائك والمرسلين وعبادك الصالحين وأهل السماوات والأرضين ومن سبح لك يا رب العالمين من الأولين والآخرين على محمد عبدك ورسولك ونبيك وأمينك ونجيك وحبيبك وصفيك وصفوتك وخاصتك وخالصتك وخيرتك من خلقك, وأعطه الفضل والفضيلة والوسيلة والدرجة الرفيعة, وابعثه مقاما محمودا يغبطه به الأولون والآخرون. اللهم إنك قلت ولو إنهم إذا ظلموا أنفسهم جاءوك فاستغفروا الله واستغفر لهم الرسول لوجدوا الله توابا رحيما. إلهي قد أتيتك نبيك مستغفرا تائبا من ذنوبي, فصل على محمد وآله واغفر لها لي. يا سيدنا يا رسول الله, توجهنا بك وبأهل بيتك إلى الله, تعالى ليغفر لنا ذنوبنا. السلام عليك يا رسول الله, السلام عليك يا محمد بن عبد الله, السلام عليك وعلى ابن عمك الأمين وصيك علي بن أبي طالب ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك وعلى خديجة أم المؤمنين. السلام عليك وعلى ابنتك فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام عليك وعلى الحسن والحسين all together. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على سيدتي مولاتي زينب ابنة أمير المؤمنين. السلام على سادة موالي علي الأكبر وعلي السجاد وعلي الأصغر. السلام على زيد بن علي الشهيد. السلام على سيدتي ومولاتي فاطمة أم البنين وأولادها الشهداء السعداء العباس وعبد الله وعثمان وجعفر. السلام على سيدي ومولاي محمد الباقر وجعفر الصادق. السلام على سيدي ومولاي موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا سيدي ومولاي علي بن موسى الرضا يا إمام الشيعة والزوار ويوم الجزاء. السلام على محمد الجواد. السلام على علي الهادي. السلام على الحسن العسكري. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليك يا إمامي وإمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليكم أهل بيت النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
Brothers, please stay in the hall. Please allow the sisters to leave first so we don't have a traffic jam at the door.